To send them to websites where they can learn to ask for consent in a sexy way, not appropriate.
The kindergartners came home very confused about whether or not you can pick your gender, whether or not they really were a boy or a girl.
Hi, my name is Dylan Pontiff. I'm actually going to be one of the drag queens reading for Drag Queen Storytime. So apparently to a lot of people in this room, I'm the big boogeyman. And as you can see, I'm probably the most unintimidating person you've ever seen in your entire life. I am not here to obviously change anyone's views about me. But I'm here to let you know that this event is something that's going to be very beautiful. And for the children and the people that support it are going to realize that this is going to be the grooming of the next generation. We are trying to groom the next generation.
Hi, my name's Az and I'm a preschool teacher. So my classroom celebrates diversity. It's probably my favorite thing to teach. We usually use kids' books to talk about this kind of thing. Recently we started wearing pronoun pins, and the kids get to pick a new pronoun pin every day. We have some that pick like she, her every single day, and we have some that change it up. So diversity is really important in my class. So I recently realized that there's a whole lot of really amazing figureheads and people to look up to in this world who aren't white or straight or male or what have you, and that we should learn a little bit more about these people.
Sex with objects in high school? Too much.
There won't be any more law against pedophilia.
Many people don't have a clue that in 2012, the APA changed the wording for pedophile to mean a child-adult relationship, which is giving you that open door that they need. And that foundation will legally protect them when they want your children and your grandchildren.
Not only are we just opening up the door to our children being molested, being raped, passed around, profited off of, but we're handing them over to a movement that's going to turn them into pedophiles, rapists, murderers, drug addicts, alcoholics, prostitutes. And this is what we want for our next generation. I wouldn't want this for my worst enemy. The things that I endured, I wouldn't want for my worst enemy.
But you're just frightened. You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct. We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it. You can keep them from disco, warn about San Francisco. Make him wear pleated pants, we don't care. We'll convert your children, just like you worried. They'll change their group of friends. You won't approve of where they go at night to protests. Oh, and you'll be disgusted so gross when they start finding things online that you've kept far from their sight. Guess what? You'll still be alright. We'll convert your children, yes we will.
Reaching one and all, there's really no escaping it.
'Cause even grandma likes RuPaul.
And the world's getting kinder.
Gen Z's gayer than Grindr. Learn to love, learn to vogue, face your fate. We'll convert your children. Someone's gotta teach them not to hate. We're coming for them.
We're coming for your children.
We're coming for them. We're coming for your children. We're coming for them.
Self-diagnosis does increase the danger of both symptom amplification and minimization. What can happen is what we sometimes refer to as a horoscope effect. It's when you read symptoms online and you feel really connected to it, so much so that you believe that you must now have that particular diagnosis.
With my girl Drew, Cameron D and
Destiny, Charlie's Angel.
Kids now will tell me that they will sit and watch videos about dissociative identity disorder or bipolar disorder or borderline personality disorder for hours on end. And when you do that, you're really indoctrinating yourself.
I'm cisgender, the majority of my handmaids aren't, and we've decided to transition. Which means that as happy as I am for the men in my system, I am about to have to watch myself go through the wrong puberty.
Throwing a gender reveal party. And no, I'm not pregnant, it's for myself. I'm non-binary.
Asflux is when a person's sexuality fluctuates between asexual and allosexual.
I describe myself as agender.
Asexual, demisexual, and cupiosexual.
Autosexual, asflux.
Neuroqueer. Gray sexuality. Non-asexual, aromantic, and allosexual, aromantic.
Oh, actually, I'm gender fluid. Oh, okay.
Meaning their gender sort of fluidly changes between masculine and feminine and agender or
as an aspec micro.
Sarah is a gender identity that's similar to being a girl, but it's on a completely different plane from the binary gender of woman.
Gender flawn means that I live on the gender fluid spectrum, but I never identify as female.
I'm just not a man and just not a woman, but my gender is hard to define beyond that. It's just definitely queer.
I think that I would like validation for my gender identity.
Gender is a social construct. This is scientifically proven. Therefore, anything can be a gender because we made that shit up.
My favorite label right now is genderqueer, and I'm also definitely questioning, but other words I'm experimenting with are non-binary, gender expansive, gender fluid, and demi-girl.
I am a gender fluid, trans, femme, pan-romantic, great ace, white passing Japanese person.
And I feel like perfectly encapsulates the balance of my masculine and feminine characteristics.
Neurodivergent trans people don't owe you an explanation for their existence.
I am a white transmasculine femme non-binary, temporarily mostly able-bodied, neurodivergent, obsessive compulsive, chronically ill, culturally Jewish, Unitarian Universalist, non-monogamous, demi-low romantic, gray demi-bisexual, survivor of acute and complex trauma, millennial.
I'm dropping the he, and my new pronouns are they, them, theirs.
Hi, my name's Jasper. I use they pronouns.
Hi, my name is Liana. I use they demon pronouns.
Do you see this person next to me? E is my friend.
Their name is Venus.
I heard Z runs a shop by Zer.
Their name is Ren. Z is gender fluid.
Me went to the market with near friends who love
and V also goes by they, them pronouns.
Love that for Zen.
It didn't have to dress itself up for my party, but it looks great, so I'm not mad.
I just want to let Glint know that Thon is valid, that ver pronouns are valid.
It should be really proud of itself for trying on these new pronouns. I know I'm proud of it.
I love Demon very much, and I hope Demon loves Demon's self too.
That forgot that's M&M's.
It belongs to Frog, it's Frog's self.
Gender fluid means my gender changes depending on the day or week, or even depending on the hour.
I use she, they pronouns. I want you to use both of them interchangeably. So like in a sentence, you would say, she's so sweet and I like their hair. So you're using both pronouns to talk about that person.
When people ask me what my pronouns are, and I'm like, yeah, they or she is fine. It's true. But when someone uses they for me, I feel like flooded with warmth. And when someone uses she for me, I'm like, I exist, I've been perceived. So, it's fine, especially if you're queer, but if you a straight person, I'm not a she to you.
I don't abide by gender. I'm fucking built different.
Sometimes I'm like, I'm not actually non-binary. I'm making it up for attention.
How do I know what pronouns to use for you and other gender fluid people? We all express them differently, but personally I express them through color-coded bracelet.
This does not feel like making it up for attention.
Now you're non-binary when you said last year you're transgendered? Well, yeah, at first I thought that was my only option. I didn't feel like the gender I was born with was my only gender, and non-binary people do fall under the transgender umbrella.
A couple of days ago, and I've only come out to a few people. I'm a guy.
You are thinking about it so much and you're so intensely distressed by it all. Like you are probably trans or non-binary in some way.
If you were to look up, online, how do you know if you're trans?
The kind of material that you see online just validates everybody. I mean, the answer is almost always yes.
Just remember that the way you express yourself doesn't make you any less or any more trans. If you think you might be a trans guy, then you can still carry on doing what you did before. Wear what you want, do what you want. If you want to wear dresses, then go for it. If you want to wear makeup, go for it. Doing those things doesn't make you any less trans, and it doesn't make you any less of a guy.
This belief that you have to have dysphoria in order to identify as non-binary or trans or a gender that's not cis, that's not true at all.
At no point in the definition of transgender is dysphoria a must in order to be transgender.
I think that there's a word for if you believe this, and I think that that word is called like true scum or something like that.
And then I made a number of people realize that they are trans, and then some of them have made some other people realize that they are trans. It's a whole little beautiful queer circle of life.
The wave of transgenders is coming for you.
But you're just frightened. You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct. We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it.
All done. The boobies are done chopped off. Bippity bye bye.
When I was done dying, my conscience regained, so I began my struggle. A nothingness strained out, a flash made of time, my new form blasted out, and it startled me so. And I built train, leaving no choice but breath, so I fell asleep softly at the edge of a cave. But I should have gone deeper, but I'm not so brave. And life is too working to turn my skin.
They look the best ever. They look so good. I'm really happy. Yeah. It's hard for me to look at it because this makes me so emotional.
Questions about this very popular procedure.
What is the perfect age to have top surgery? My youngest patient was 15. My 14-year-old identified very, very young.
Transitioning is an incredibly personal journey, and what may be affirming to one patient is not necessarily affirming to another.
I have many non-binary patients. They're not fully masculine, and they don't want a full mastectomy, and I can assure you there's a plethora of different operations that can help you achieve the goals that you want.
And the question is, do I have to have nipples after chest reconstruction? I have several patients that have elected not to have nipples. And they have a multitude of reasons. But whatever the reason, doesn't really matter. It's your body.
Or if they want nipples in the shape of a Christmas tree or the Star of David, we're happy to accommodate your needs. Whatever you want, we can do. Squares, diamonds, stars, rainbows, horseshoes, frosted Lucky Charms.
Basically every option you could dream of. These surgeries are highly customizable. You can get or lose any body part that you need. Some people just get a new penis and nothing else.
Like a completely different configuration. And you can pick and choose what parts you want to keep or change.
In a vaginectomy, they go through the vagina in order to make incisions along the wall of the vagina and remove it entirely. I personally like to refer to it as jack-o'-lanterning, but I think that might be a little gruesome for others.
Nullo is not a medical term. It's a term created by the community that's short for nullification. And it's typically someone that was born male that doesn't identify with their penis, testicle, scrotum, and so they want that removed. Ethically, I think it's perfectly reasonable.
Look, I'm not making any money out of this deal.
If you view your phalloplasty as a Ferrari, we just built you from scratch. A fistula or a stricture repair, it's another surgery, it's another 2 weeks with a suprapubic tube, but it's like changing a tire out on your Ferrari. It doesn't mean you've totally
That ain't our real price. That ain't either. That's our regular price. Our real price for something like this is if we're feeling really good and then.
As you can see, my nipples have been removed from my body. Where they are, I don't know. I am experiencing phantom nipple, or somebody has my nipples and they're pinching them and they won't let go. So if you have my nipples, just let go. It's enough. You can let go. Haha, very funny. I feel this endless nipple pinching that isn't there, and I don't know how to feel about it, what to do about it. I don't know if this is some sick game that somebody's playing. Somehow got a hold of my nipples.
I will perform transorbital lobotomy on 10 patients within an hour.
In the 1930s, a new brain surgery, like the one portrayed here in the movie Francis, was brought to the United States, the lobotomy.
Only a little more dangerous than operating to remove an infected tooth.
It was performed on mentally ill patients all over the country,
Lobotomy gets them home.
hailed by the media as a miracle cure.
Life magazine, the New York Times, Time magazine, they loved it.
Lobotomy was felt to be mainstream science. It wins the Nobel Prize.
But more than 40,000 surgeries later, the brutal truth about lobotomy would come to light.
They were basically going in and mushing around brain tissue, and unfortunately, in many cases, leaving patients worse off.
A psychosis can be defined as a detachment from reality. In place of thoughts and beliefs that conform to the facts of the world, the psychotic becomes overrun by delusions, which are false beliefs considered to be true despite the existence of evidence that proves the contrary. A person is most susceptible to a psychotic break in adolescence or early adult life, an important time for the development of identity.
And I want to be on a throne, naked, and I want people to look at my brand new PP and admire how beautiful my new PP looks. That's what I want.
Not a stupid question at all. It really does seem like it should be easier to transplant genitalia than create them from scratch, but that's where we're at right now with the technology.
So, I'm having 5 stages of what's called phalloplasty. Recovery's been a little rough.
I am 3 days post-op from my 5th phalloplasty-related surgery.
A little over 2 years ago, I underwent a surgery called phalloplasty. That created a massive pulmonary embolism that induced a stress heart attack, and I was life-flighted via helicopter to Dallas Presbyterian, giving me less than a 2% chance of living.
I'm a trans man who had phalloplasty, and I had life-threatening complications. I was in an ambulance and would spend the next 12 hours in the emergency room unable to breathe on my own. My blood oxygen was at 86% and dropping. I was in acute respiratory failure by the time an ICU room opened up for me.
Stage 1 for me consisted of vaginectomy, scrotoplasty, urethral lengthening, clearance release. I had 2 catheters.
I spent the next 3 weeks in the ICU for 10 plus blood clots in both my legs, my pelvic area, and both of my lungs. A clot developed in my left leg artery so fast and for so long that they were worried I would have to have it amputated for lack of blood flow. Pulmonary embolism in my lungs was the most serious, and if I waited any longer, I probably would have died in my sleep. So essentially I had what was called a urethral diverticulum, which was a pouch that had opened up where my original anatomy was.
I have a urethra fistula, which means that there is an opening in the urethra that is causing it to come out in another location in which it should not.
Now, 1 year post-op, I'm still peeing out of several different orifices.
So basically, when they did some testing after I had surgery, they realized I had a fistula between my urethra and my rectum. I had this colostomy done, to fix the fistula, and they gave me this colostomy bag, aka I'm currently pooping into a bag.
Like I said, I don't know what I was expecting, but it sure as hell wasn't this. I don't think people talk enough about how absolutely terrifying this surgery is. And I wish I hadn't done this. I just kept going, I want to go home. I want to go home. This was a mistake. I don't want to be here. And I wish I hadn't done this.
It's just not worth it. I thought that I would have this surgery and I would be so happy, that I would love my body, and that, not for nothing, that dating would be easier because I wouldn't have to out myself in regards to why I don't have the right genitalia. But then I realized no matter how many surgeries I get, I'm gonna always have to out myself because I can't produce kids. My genitalia don't work the way a cisgender man's genitalia would work.
Yeah, it was scary to think that I regretted what I had done, because I put so much money and time and effort into this, and knowing it's irreversible and permanent, and there's no going back.
I was on hormones, I was on testosterone for 4 years, which is why I have a deep voice. And I also had top surgery, which is basically a double mastectomy. It wasn't until I sort of did the last step in my transition, which was changing my name legally in around 2019. And once that was done, I, still felt like incomplete.
Phalloplasty for me has been a very traumatic experience. It's made me very suicidal. It's made me very depressed. It's made me feel very incomplete.
My body image issues actually got worse.
That's not how medicine or any other area of therapy is practiced.
How many of you feel that you were blindly affirmed?
I didn't get enough pushback on transitioning. I went for 2 appointments, and after the second one, I had my letter to go get on cross-sex hormones.
2 visits? That's it? All 4 tell us they learned about transitioning on the internet, where there are transformation videos on YouTube, trans influencers, and forums.
I started out as an ally, and then eventually, over just the course of a few weeks to a few months, maybe 2 months at most, I was already starting to identify as transgender. So very rapid, very socially influenced.
A lot of people knew me online as a trans influencer. That was kind of a big part of my identity.
I had a few friends in high school. My best friend identified as trans. My other best friend identified as trans. One of my other very close friends identified as trans, and they've all since detransitioned or desisted.
She says she was approved for a mastectomy, what's called top surgery, that she told us was traumatic.
I started to have a really disturbing sense that a part of my body was missing, almost a ghost limb feeling about being there's something that should be there. And the feeling really surprised me, but it was really hard to deny.
And so she detransitioned by going off testosterone.
I can't believe that I transitioned and detransitioned, including hormones and surgery, in the course of less than 1 year. It's completely crazy.
When you said, when I asked how you were doing, you said I'm upset just now. What is the most upsetting?
You and the other 3 gender therapists I've seen are, in my opinion, harmful charlatans, effectively. And I feel like I've been hurt by you and by the other gender therapists who have allowed me to stay on this path for over 2 years. Caught up in this horrible mindset, which has robbed me of not only 2 years, but likely my fertility, has given me breasts, has worsened my health conditions.
So, and that's, I'm sorry that that's how you feel.
Well, it's just the truth. I mean, you've done nothing for me, except just allowed me to dance around in this delusion.
Depends on what kind of a delusion there's different delusions.
Like, for instance, thinking you're a woman when you're a man. How do you not consider that a delusion? I think that's heartless, honestly. Because I am delusional, and you're not going to help. It's your fault. It's all four of you. It's this whole profession. It's this whole thing. I'm delusional, and you're not helping. You think I'm Some people who are mentally ill need to know what's real.